there's going to be a lot to pack into this one. First of all, Carnivale, it's party time. Sheffield United are promoted, which is absolutely magnificent news. I'm so delighted, and what a way to go up as well. At home, first time since, 1971? Someone who's older than me informed me, someone reliable as well, so I'm buying it. This is a match preview for the Blades against Preston North End. It doesn't matter unless you are invested in some side storyline, very much like Billy Sharp getting his 250th. Maybe that could be the story here. But I think even if we lose, it's going to be a party for all Blades, as it should be. So looking forward to this. We'll get to the game, of course. In today's match preview, you'll get Sheffield United and Preston North End team news ahead of the 3 o'clock kickoff at Bramall Lane. Last time out, player connections. Myself and Ollie, who was with me, will also give you score predictions. Ollie, how you doing?
I'm feeling very, very good. I am very much looking forward to party time at Bramall Lane. Obviously, a fantastic night on Wednesday. And yeah, just feeling it. I'm feeling it, Hal. Bank holiday weekend. What more can you want?
Yeah, it's great news. Pop your comments in below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And also, we want your score predictions and players who played for both. But there's been a lot of stuff, bits, and crucially things that have happened today. Ollie, let's just go through some of it, some of the things being reported today, and I'll try and do them in as chronological order as I can, and we'll get your thoughts on each one. Sky started the day rolling by reporting that Prince Abdullah says he intends to sell the club in the next 4 weeks, but it's unlikely to be to Dozy and Bozy. We'll get to that. Prince Abdullah on selling to Dozy. I can't say it's off, but I think maybe now it's unlikely. But everything is open. I can't comment more than that. Now, he said that on Talk Sport. He also said on Talk Sport about selling the club. If we reach a decision, I want it to be before we start preparations for next season. It can't affect the team next year. It has to be done now. To sell is my intention, but nothing is guaranteed. I'm not going to sell to just anybody. I care about who owns the club next. There are some parties, plural, interested. I would rather do something in the next 4 weeks or do nothing, but these things never go as you expect. There are always complications. Ollie, just a quick fire reaction to that statement.
Like to hear that he wants to make sure we're selling to the right people. I think that's been a really key thing for me all the way through this process is we need the right people coming in to buy Sheffield United Football Club. We don't want to end up with chances. We don't want to end up with some of these terrible owners who run clubs into the ground. So it's really good to hear that he wants to make sure and sort of safeguard the future of Sheffield United Football Club. So that's really good to hear. In terms of obviously what's going on at the moment, I think who knows? I know we'll come to that shortly with other statements and things that are flying around. But yeah, for now, I'm just glad to hear that he's very keen to make sure it's the right people coming in.
Some people love a statement, and we're going to have one in just a moment. Multiple parties are interested in buying Sheffield United. This is what James Shield has reported today. Investors from North America have been gathering information on the club, whilst individuals from the Far East also have an interest. So that sounds like maybe a group from North America and maybe one or two perhaps separate people from the Far East. So we've also had an update where Dozy and Bozy, the founder of the Tingo Group, has put a tweet out on, unsurprisingly, Twitter. He says, I wish to state categorically that I have not withdrawn my bid to acquire Sheffield United Football Club. Beyond the £8.85 million paid to United World, I will continue to work with the experts and professionals I hired to buy the club. Earlier today, I had a positive and constructive conversation with the club's chairman, Youssef Giansirakusa, and Chief Executive Officer, Stephen Bettis, and I will continue to do so. This is my commitment to the fans of Sheffield United, and I look forward to reaching a positive outcome. Ollie, thoughts?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, because obviously, like you say, it's just so different to the two statements. Obviously, we're hearing from the Prince that he's saying he's not officially said it's off, but that it's unlikely. And so it's interesting to see that obviously Dozy has come out fighting. I think he's done that numerous times through the process where there's been other things in the media, there's been other statements going around, and he has come out fighting a lot against those and has always reiterated his commitment to be the man who buys Sheffield United Football Club. I think for me, where we are right now, well, everybody has their own sort of assessment, but it seems unlikely that Dozy will be the one who manages to take it forward just from everything that's being said. I just don't think that's what's going to happen. I know there's been talks about these other people who have maybe been waiting in the wings. I think it's been reported in a few different places that there's been maybe a conglomerate, maybe a couple of individuals interested. So it seems more likely that they may be the ones taking it forward, but we can only wait and see how it plays out, really, can't we?
Time will tell. In my opinion, it's a tremendous opportunity for a new owner. The potential, the fan base, the history. The club itself is set up now to only go one way if it has the right investment, and that's going to be key. I think Prince Abdullah would love to stay involved in Sheffield United because he has developed an affinity for the club. He's already said in one of his other quotes that he'll be a Blade for life. I think it's just a simple case of he recognises that the club needs to go to the next level. And that's going to require a lot of investment because football has changed. And you need, like Sheikh Mansour, you need that kind of money. And that's going to be having to come from somewhere else. So let's see if it does. If it doesn't, and there is no takeover, I feel fairly confident that we will go into next season, if anything, without a distraction. Because one of these things that they can take time. And actually, if you don't get into the playoffs and you go up in the top two, one of the things you should do there is benefit from that earlier time. Start things going, start the transfers, start putting plans in place, get the contracts sorted. What we don't want is this to run for a month, 2 months, and then we start our planning, because then we'll go down.
Yeah, agreed. Completely agreed. I think there's a really interesting question just coming from the comments from James that I'm just going to pull up for us now. Will Doze get his money back? Now, this is something that has been addressed. I believe the Prince talked about it as well in his TalkSport interview, where he said, no, this is not accurate. We don't owe money to Doze and Bose. Doze is a good man, and hopefully he will be successful in whatever he does in the future, but we don't owe anyone any money. So my understanding of that, James, is that no, if it doesn't go ahead with Doze, there is no money payable to him in terms of a refund for anything he's already put into the club.
Yeah, and just to be clear, we are reading direct quotes. We are not giving our opinion on these things that we've, said our quotes. They are quotes. You can find them out there for yourself. Right, let's talk football on the pitch. Last game, Ollie, what a way to go up in front of the fans. A magical night. I always think under the lights, it's so much better. It was Sheffield United 2, West Bromwich Albion 0. First half, so let's just talk about the second half where we really turned it on. Your thoughts after that game?
Just utterly fantastic to finally do it at Bramall Lane. Last time we were this close, obviously after Ipswich at home, but that wasn't the day that it was confirmed. It's for the first time in, I think you said at the start, I think it's 51 years since 1971 that we've been able to do it at Bramall Lane. And it just felt utterly incredible. I had a fantastic time at Bramall Lane from the minute that they made that first defensive mistake that Illiman immediately capitalises on, shows some fantastic skill that we know he's got, lays it to Berger, and then it was Partey central from that point forwards. Just, a really special night at Bramall Lane, and one of those that's going to stay with you, I think, because it was just fantastic.
It'll live long in the memory. The big question, though, Ollie, is as we go to last time out against Preston North End, is will that game live long in the memory? It was a draw. Talk us through it.
It was a draw, and whether or not this stays in your memory is whether or not you are an absolute glutton for punishment. United did actually start quite well, and I thought generally in this game, United played pretty well. We took an early lead through Morgan Gibbs-White. Stevens got down the left, putting a cross that Preston just couldn't handle, couldn't get rid of it, and Gibbs-White finished really well, volleying down into the ground and bouncing it up into the top corner. And at that point, you thought, yes, this is going to be a good day. But as happened so often under Slav, we, of course, had defensive mistakes in us. The first one is an absolute shocker. And I think if anybody ever mentions the two words that send shiver down all our backs, it's Robin Olsen. And they remember this game in particular. Their centre-half just plays a long punt forward. And now, don't get me wrong, the defending on this is terrible. We allowed Daniel Johnson to get in behind us, letting him run one-on-one with the keeper. But why the keeper is stood outside his box to the right and just lets him take a touch past him and kick it into an open net from 18 yards. I will never understand. Like, at the time, I remember trying to make excuses and thinking, God, that was awful, but there must be an excuse. No. Watching it back, it's awful and looks worse every single time you see it. So that was 1-1. United then dominated the game, but just could not make the breakthrough. We'd had a few chances where their keeper made a good save, or they just went wide, or there was a last-ditch block. But finally, we made the breakthrough. John Fleck created an overload. He broke really, really well through the middle, shifted it to the left to Billy Sharp, whose shot was deflected, but running in, Sanderberger, first time, side foot through the keeper's legs. And that should have been enough for what we would have called a frustrating but deserved victory. But alas, we again snatched a draw from the jaws of victory. Cross to the back post. I think it's Basham falls over. Their lad's got all the time in the world to pick his pass. He picks out Emil Rees in the middle, who takes a touch and fires into the corner. It was annoying. It was 2 points conceded. But quite frankly, if this ever happens again this weekend, will we care? Probably not, because it'll still be Party Central. We'll still be promoted. And we can forget that one ever happened, and we can all forget. We've exercised the demons of Slavisa Jokanovic and Robin Olsen. We can move away from it. And we can breathe. We're going up. That's what matters.
Yeah, and London Road's going to be the place to be for the party. I think pre and post, of course, for the players. They'll have the annual awards due afterwards as well. I will just use this as an opportunity to say, pop in the comments below who you think should be player of the season. Ollie, who do you think should be player of the season?
Iliman and Die. I think we've had lots of players this season who've had fantastic years. I think some of them have actually probably played to a level slightly above them. They've developed a consistency that maybe they've not had previous years, people like Jack Robinson. But for us, we've got a standout player who I think should have been the player of the season in the division. And the fact that he wasn't nominated for that was a joke. And therefore, I think he certainly will probably sweep the awards for us, winning player of the season. I'd like to see McAtee possibly get young player of the season, because I think Iliman winning both, it never sits well with me if you win young player and player, but if any player deserves it, it's probably Iliman and Die.
Yeah, I could sit fine with that. Let's talk about team news and predicted lineup. Stuart McCall did the presser and didn't give much away in regards to team news. He did say this, which I thought was mildly interesting. Last home game, we still have a few bumps and bruises, so we'll do the team tomorrow. So he's really given us nothing. There are targets still to go for, and most of the lads will want to go out on a high. The support at Wembley was outstanding, and the other night. I remember coming with Blackpool, and they sang 4 times, "Is this a library?" That was my biggest disappointment, wondering what had happened. So I said at the time, success for me would be getting the fans back on board. And the other night was outstanding. It was everyone coming together. I think the atmosphere at Bramall Lane is something that we've spoken about before. And it was great to have it back, particularly second half. Right, let's have a look on screen at Nick's preferred 11. He's gone with League One Wes in goal, who is now Premier League Wes. We've got Chris Basham, John Egan, and Nick's decided that Kieran Clark deserves a start. Baldock at right wing back, definitely a contender for player of the season. Max Lowe at left wing back. Ollie Norwood, he is flipping good. We've got Doyle and Die and McAtee, Ollie's shout for young player of the season, supporting that man, looking for his 250, Billy Sharp. Ollie, look at that team. Do you agree? Do you disagree?
I agree in most places. I think I am expecting to see quite a few changes, and I think we'll see some other players getting their opportunities. I think particularly we saw lots of subs on Wednesday night. Once it was confirmed, once we got the 2-0, we saw lots of players coming on who potentially haven't got too much longer left with Sheffield United. You know, we saw players like Sharp, Norwood, Fleck, Basham, and they deserve to have these moments because they've been fantastic servants for the club. And so I actually think we might see John Fleck in there. I'm certainly expecting Basham, Norwood, and Billy. The one shock for me in looking at that is Kieran Clark. Do we, you know, as somebody at his age, are we going to be signing him for next season? I'm not certain on that. It seems unlikely to me given his injury issues this year. And so I'm not sure I'd be expecting him in the team unless it's just that Jack Robinson needs a rest, which I can understand because he's given us a hell of a lot this season.
Big fan. Now, this next section is brought to you by Indigo Resurrection Bar, the official match day bar of the Sheffield United Way, formerly known as the Devonshire Cat. You will find it, and you'll find us as well on match days. But you'll also be able to make it your pre-match tradition, as Ollie has done. And I think it's well worth going up there, bringing your season ticket and mentioning Sheffield United way.
Yeah, 100%. It's definitely the place to be. Particularly, it's the place to be this weekend. You know, we referenced there how much we're going to have that party atmosphere. There's going to be a party atmosphere at Bramall Lane, potentially a party atmosphere on London Road as well. But there will also be a party atmosphere in Indigo. They're open from 11, and I think anybody who can get in there, it's definitely worth it because they're really planning on going big for us this time out. They're having a promotion party after the game where everybody is welcome to come and celebrate a fantastic season for Sheffield United. And I look forward to seeing as many people as we can there because I think it's going to be a really great night.
It really will. Talk us through the opposition. Preston North End.
Preston North End. So despite no winning 3, they are still somehow in the playoff race. They've got a new injury to worry about, which is Robbie Brady. But they've also got quite a long injury list behind him. Alan Brown, their captain, looks to be out potentially for the rest of the season. Emil Rees has been out for a few weeks now. Ched Evans, who we all send our best to after potentially a career-ending injury with his recent surgery on a spinal issue, and then Greg Cuggingham has also been out. Bamno Diaby is suspended because there was a mass team brawl between Preston and Swansea a couple of weeks ago, and apparently only one player deserves a ban from that, and that player was Bambo Diaby, so we're not going to see him at Bramall Lane either. With his suspension, I think Patrick Bauer is the one who's coming in. He had a good game against Blackburn, and I think he'll probably continue in that role. Similarly, I think former Blade Ben Whiteman also will keep his place after a really good performance in that game. So we won't be seeing Ryan Ledson. The only other one that I'm not sure on is Liam Delap. He did well coming off the bench again against Blackburn last week. And so we may see him come in for a start. I think their team's going to look something like Woodman in goal, a back 3 of Storey, Bauer and Hughes. They'll have Ben Whiteman just sitting in front of those, with the 4 in front of him being Dan Potts, Josh Onomar, Daniel Johnson and Fernandez, with a front 2, Liam Delap and Tom Cannon. Now, you may remember that Cannon had an absolute hot streak of form just a few weeks ago, so he's probably the danger man for us to keep an eye on. But said it before, say it again. Don't matter this time, does it? Who cares? Who cares, Al?
It still matters. It still matters. Like Stuart McCall said, there's still things to go for. And you know what? Preston will be giving it a go, and there's other teams that will be relying on some of these results for playoffs. I love the playoffs, by the way. The only thing better than the playoffs is being already promoted when you can watch the playoffs. I think the playoffs are one of the best additions to the league structure, and leagues that don't have it are poorer for it. Now, opposition view from, created by Roy's View. Go to roysviewfrom.com. Preston fans are saying, I'm still backing, I can get away with this, a pissed up Sheffield United against us, to be fair. So they're not confident there. Sheffield have League One Wes back now too. So history tells us that will be a boost for us on Saturday. Ollie, what on earth are they on about?
I believe he was goalkeeper for Swindon in the League One playoff final when they beat him about 5-0. So I think they're just playing off the back of that a little bit.
Right. I knew you'd know. If anyone knows, it's that man, Ollie. Here's another quote. Burnley had a blip after sealing the title. It's hard to motivate yourself 100% when you know the job is done. That said, I'm sure they will have plenty of quality, even in the reserves. So it's never going to be an easy game. We should be much more up for it, though. Early goal needed. And here's a final quote. Think Billy Sharp will still be knocking goals in for Sheffield United when he's in his 80s. Absolutely love that, and I can't disagree with it. Let's have a quick look at the referee for this game. The referee is Stephen Martin.
The Stephen Martin?
Well, that's, the comedian Steve Martin. No, not the same one.
No,
this
is he not doing it? Oh.
No, this bloke's buff, and he's from Staffordshire, and we have seen him before. He's taken charge of 31 games this season, giving 136 yellows. That is very high. If you're not familiar with the averages, it's on the high side. 4 reds, 3 pens. So you've got to do a fair bit to get a penalty after Stephen Martin doesn't seemingly like to give them. He was in charge of our 1-0 win at Bristol City, but also our 3-2 defeat at Millwall, which was not a day I remember too fondly.
I didn't like that one.
No, I didn't like that one as well. Let's get some score predictions and just have a quick look as well at the prediction table. You're not there on top, Ollie.
Don't bring it up, Hal. Don't bring it up. I tell you what happened. About 6 weeks ago, I had a commanding lead where I was millions of points in front. I thought there was no way that I could possibly throw this away. But I suppose,
What do you mean?
like
You know.
somebody else in the city, we managed to throw away a commanding lead, find ourselves not in top spot, and instead looking at disappointment.
Yeah, do check out every week Ollie and Nick doing their championship score predictions. Not too many left to go. So, Ollie, what are you saying for Sheffield United against Preston North Ends?
For this one, I've gone for a 1-1 draw. I think there's a chance that United make quite a few changes, as we have already referenced. I think the party atmosphere will probably mean that United will not lose this game. I think that'll be enough to motivate the squad. We saw it in League One when, despite going out there and constantly being drunk, they could just continue rolling, picking up points, picking up victories. I think this is a really tough game. I don't think it will be enough for us to get the win, but I think it'll still be a fairly happy ending to the season at Bramall Lane for us.
Nick has said 2-1 Blades. You've also got a score prediction from a Preston fan called Aidan.
I have indeed. Aidan's a fantastic guy. I don't know his Twitter right now, but I will try and retweet our video with the information for him because he's a fantastic guy, really massive Preston fan, and is a huge help and knowledgeable person when you're trying to talk about Preston. He's also gone for 1-1. He believes this will probably be the game that ends their faint playoff hopes at this stage, if it is only a draw. But he thinks they're trying to catch us cold, and hopefully we've been over-celebrating.
This next section, Player Connections, is brought to you by Parrot Peel, the musical ensemble with 98 members in 14 countries. They're Blades as well. They want to support the challenge. Many of the band members, huge fans of United. They've moved away from Sheffield to other countries, so they can't get to matches as often as they'd like, but they wanted us to tell you that they love Sheffield United. They love the Sheffield United way. It makes them feel part of the match day experiences, discussing lineups, reviewing performances, and the like. So do check out Parrot Peel's latest album, Stick or Twist, Parrot Peel, Peel.com. So after I've said 1-0, I now want some player connections. Ollie, have you got any up your sleeve, or do you want me to just roll straight in?
You just roll straight in, because the only one I've got in the back of my head, I don't think is correct. And
well, there's one on screen there. I mean,
me.
thought that might help you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I already shouted out Ched before, obviously wishing him our
True.
best with his injury problems at the moment. So Ched Evans certainly is the one that I had. I didn't know if Greg Halford had played for Preston, but I think he just scored against Preston for us in the playoffs and therefore didn't play for them.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely scored that fantastic goal in that 1-0 win in the second leg. But I am fairly confident, without looking it up, that Greg did not play
think he did either
for Preston. There's a fair few you could have chosen. And to be honest, he has played for a lot of clubs, so never a bad shout. It's a bit like Martin Craney. You can often say him and you'll find a club there. But I was going to say Richard Creswell. What about Mark Rankin? I remember when we played Millwall away and he was listed on the team as Mark Rontin, which I don't know why, but it amused me and my pal quite a lot. Claude Davis. His big sword.
Davis.
That's not a euphemism. That's to do with a story about him and a sword. Also, Alan Kelly. Technically, Alan Kelly Jr. His dad also represented Preston with distinction. But the goalkeeper who played for the Blades so brilliantly, magnificently, for many, the best goalkeeper they ever saw play for Sheffield United. And he and his father, bit of Preston fabric, history, synonymous with and adored by. So I think it's fair to have those guys mentioned that I just mentioned there. Pop your score predictions in the comments below. Let us know some more players. There is loads more. There's more that I'm thinking of as I speak. I don't want to give any more away, so please pop them in the comments. Ollie, enjoy the game, enjoy the party, enjoy the celebrations, both before and after, and we will see you next time. I'll be doing the match reaction, so look forward to chatting to you then.